YouTube, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Lovely Nancy's channel. Today's video I will be going over the 10 frequently asked OT related questions. So I have them written down because I always forget the questions, or I always forget what I'm going to talk about. So the first question that I always get is that what is the most challenging OT course in OT school? So I think this question really is dependent on the person that's taking the course, what your strengths and your weaknesses are. For me personally, I think the most challenging class was adult and geriatrics. Yes, that was the hardest class for me personally, because there was a lot of intervention related type of questions on the test, and it was more like a lot of scenario based questions that I wasn't used to answering those type of questions. Even though peds were a little bit like that, I just felt like Geri was just a lot more harder, because you have to start, and I took geriatrics my 3rd year of OT school, so at that point the expectation is that you are thinking like an occupational therapist and you're getting ready to graduate. My phone is falling out of my hand, sorry. And you are getting ready to graduate, to go into, to take your boards and to go into, to go to field work and all that. So you kind of have to get into the mindset of thinking as an occupational therapist and coming up with interventions and what do you do type of questions when this and this happens. What kind of interventions are you supposed to give? Where in the OT process are you? Like those type of like NBC OT related questions were expected in that class, I felt like. And also we had to do a lot of coming up with our own, like we had a mental health portion too with Geri, and mental health can be a little hard if you're not used to being around people with mental health disabilities, or if you have not worked with that population. It's kind of hard to think about what they go through and to think about what you can do as a therapist. You kind of have to learn those things, so that's what made that class hard. And so the next question that I get a lot is that what did I major in as an undergrad? So I did, for undergrad, I did psychology and undergrad, so my bachelor's of science in psychology and a minor in gerontology. And then I also, on top of that, I also took all the prereq classes that I needed in order to get into occupational therapy school. So yeah. And also, if you feel like, I don't know if they still have it, this is something that I didn't know, and even if I knew that back in high school, I probably didn't know if I wanted to go into occupational therapy at that point, because when I was a senior in high school, I was really thinking about like I wanted to go into psychology because I love neuro, and I don't know why I didn't think about being a neurologist, because I think I would have been a great one. But now that I think about it, but anyway, I went to college because I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to get into psychiatry. I love mental health, and I love the brain, and you know how the brain works and what makes people tick and do certain things are just interesting to me. So that's what I wanted to get into when I graduated high school, but then that changed as I went along, and I wanted to do something a lot more in the healthcare system, which mental health is healthcare, but I don't know, for some reason I changed my mind at some point. And yeah, so if you know that you want to be an occupational therapist in high school, good for you, because you might, I don't know if they still do it, but the bachelor's and master's 5-year program, so you go through this, you graduate from high school, you go through a 5-year program, and then you get your bachelor's/master's in OT in 5 years, which would save you so much time and so much money. If you can do it, if you know what you want to do that early on. The next question that I get a lot that I got from someone is that I'm 4'11", am I too short for OT? I think that's funny. I don't think you have to be tall to be an occupational therapist, and I don't think you have to be any kind of height or weight or anything. I think that if you have the ability to think outside the box, you have the ability to want to help people, and you just love therapy, rehabbing and rehabilitation, then OT is for you. So your weight and height, I don't think means anything. Another question is, I always get age-related questions. Like, am I too old to start therapy? Am I too old to go to OT school? Am I too old? Am I too old? I think it's all about your mindset. Like, if this is something that you truly, honestly, really want to do, and you really intrigued by therapy, and you really love helping people and rehabbing people, then yes, your age does not matter. Do OT, start at 30, start at 40, start whatever age you want to start. My class had so many variations in ages. We had anywhere from the early 20s to the mid 20s to the late 20s to the early 30s to the 40s. So there was a wide range of different ages. So don't ever let your age determine what you want to do at what stage in your life. Okay, if you can do it, I don't care if you're freaking 80, do it. Okay, so the process of getting letters of recommendation, I feel like this is something that I always get asked about, and also volunteer hours. For me personally, I think it's always good to know what you want to do early on. So for example, if you know that you want to go to grad school while you're in undergrad or even in high school, if you know that, okay, you know what, I don't want to just graduate high school and be done with it. I want to go to college and I want to go to grad school, and I probably want to go get my doctorate. If you do have that type of mindset early on, you start to work towards that goal. At least that was, for me, that was what happened with me, because early on in high school, I knew that I wanted to be a doctor. So I didn't know exactly what type of doctor I wanted to be. I just knew that I wanted to be a doctor. So for me, I started early. Like, I did a lot of volunteer work while I was in high school. I was involved a lot. I used to be a cheerleader, but then I stopped. I was involved in a lot of clubs, and the same thing when I got to college. I did a lot of volunteering. I was involved. I was a orientation leader. I was part of the talents group. I was part of females club. I was part of volunteering and doing this and doing that. I was very much engaged and involved because I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that that's gonna look great on my resume, and that's gonna look great on my letter of recommendations. I got involved and I got to know people, and yeah, that's just how I got my letter of recommendations. I just asked people, that my professors that know me. I've always been a pretty bright student, so my professors did not hesitate to write me a letter of recommendation. You don't have to ask your professors. You can ask anybody at your church, anybody that maybe the place that you volunteer at, maybe the place that you work at, people that really know you, you know. And that's how I got a lot of my volunteer hours, and yeah. So what is a good GPA? It's a question that I get all the time also. And I don't even know what a good GPA is. I think a good GPA, by definition for me, I would say a B, A average. Like, don't get like C's all the time. Like, if you can stay within a B and A average, I think you do just fine. But of course, I think the GPA to get into OT school, I believe it's a B plus average. I believe so. Don't quote me on that, but you can always go to the websites and look at what GPA they want. But if you can maintain a B, an A average, I think you'd be just fine. Another question that I get is the salary question. What is the salary? What is the salary? You know what? Of course I don't think that I don't know if I would want to be an OT if we only get paid like minimum wage, honestly, because the point of me going to school, go to grad school, want to be a doctor is because I want to get paid a lot, and I want to be able to do something that I love doing and also getting paid a lot. So I want both. I want more money and I want to do something that I love. So I think what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a separate video all about like salary, because I actually did a presentation in school about occupational therapy salary. So maybe I'll just do that presentation, maybe even insert that presentation in my video as I'm doing it, and I'll just go over that so you guys can get all the gist on that. Okay, I also get a lot of questions about specialties and specialties in OT. I think I'll also make a different video about that because there's so many different specialties that you can do with OT, is amazing. Like, that's one thing that I love about OT, that I don't have to just do one specific thing. I can do a lot of different things and still make an impact in somebody's life, and that's just amazing to me. So for me personally, I might get into pain management or like home modification. I think that's cool. So yeah, but yeah, I would definitely make another video, because that's a whole different topic. So the prereqs that I took, that I take the GRE. I did not take the GRE, and I was dreading the GRE. Like, I was literally looking for schools that don't require GREs because I didn't want to take it. I was just being lazy. I'm like, I don't want to take the GRE, and if I can get a school that don't need GRE, then I'm going to apply to that school, and that's exactly what I did. Prereqs that I took to get into OT school: statistics, functional anatomy 1 and 2, and I think that was abnormal psychology, or was it lifespan development, something like that. I don't remember. It's been like 4 or 5 years, so I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure those were the classes I took. So OTA or OTR, which one should I choose? Honestly, I should probably do another video on this, because I can really spend a lot of time talking about this specific question. I really think it really depends on you as a person and what your goals are. If you feel like you are at a point in your life where you don't want to get your OTR, and you don't want to just think about the schooling, you also have to think about the responsibility that comes with being an OTR. Like, we don't do a lot of the interventions, we do a lot of the documentations. I think that the COTAs do a lot more of the interventions than we do. We'll do a lot of the paperwork and supervision and those type of things. So if that's something, we do treat also, but I feel like most of the paperwork we do it, okay? Just be real about that. And so yeah, if that's something that you feel like you are all up for it, and you want to be the one in charge and the one doing all the paperwork and the supervision and making sure everything is good, and because if the COTA that you're supervising, if they do something wrong, it's on my license as an OTR. So that's something that I always think about. Like, like, I'm super cool and I'm super down to earth, and I get along with everybody as long as you're cool. If you're not cool and you're mean or just an ignorant person, then that's probably why we don't get along. Anyway, so I think it really depends. Also think about the schooling. So OTA school, I don't think it's 3 years. I don't know how long that is. I have to do research. I have to do a lot more research on the OTA schooling and the money and all that stuff, so I can make a separate video and tell you guys about that, because I will never sit here and talk about something that I don't know unless I have some knowledge about it. The only thing that I know is what I just told you, that it's I think the schooling for us is 3 years to get your master's. For me, at least, it took me 3 years to get my master's. I don't think for OTAs it will be 3 years. So that's something that you have to think about: the length of the schooling, how much it's gonna cost, the roles and responsibilities once you graduate. Think about all that. How to study for more than one test at once. Okay, so let's just say studying in OT school, like, I used to be so involved. Like I mentioned before, I used to be so involved when I was in high school and college, but when I got to grad school for OT school, I was not that involved, because I was so much into the academia, and passing my classes was like my all-time, like, it was always on my mind. Like, I have to go study, I have to study, I have to pass my classes. It was always in the back of my mind. And so I felt like I was always studying. I was always doing some type of assignment. I didn't have time. And when I did have time, I wanted to relax. I didn't want to go get involved and do anything. So studying for me was not that hard, because that's all I wanted to do. Like, I just wanted to pass my classes and I wanted to be done with it. So for me, I would just, if I have like 3 tests in the same week, I would literally sit there and study all 3 things. If I get tired of studying test A, I'll do B, I'll do C, and just keep rotating it that way. But it also helps if it's not all on the same day. If it's like, okay, the first test is Monday, the second one is Wednesday, the third one is Friday, then it's easier to study that way. But if it's all on the same day, it's a lot harder. You just have to study it simultaneously, because that's the only way that you can do it, honestly speaking. There's no magic way that I did it. I just kind of just studied. So if it was on like 3 separate days, then I would start studying the first one first, and once that's out of the way, then I would study all of them together. However, I would study a lot more. Like, I would do the review of the first test, like let's say Sunday night. So Sunday night, if test 1 was on Monday, Sunday night I would do all the reviews for test 1, and I would not look at test 2 or test 3 information, just test 1 Sunday night, because it's on Monday, right? Then once that's done and I've already taken that test, then on Tuesday for test 2 on Wednesday, I will review on Tuesday all that I studied previously on about test 2 on Tuesday night, so I can take it on Wednesday. And then after I take that and that's done with, Wednesday night and Thursday, I can use that time to concentrate on test 3. That's what I did it that way. However, before that week of the test, I will be studying all 3 tests simultaneously. So study this one and then take a break and study this one and take a break and study that one. So that's just what you have to do. Time management, managing your time, is so important when you go to grad school. Like, it's literally the most important thing ever, and it literally helps you. Like, after going through grad school, I'm just like, I can do all things through God who strengthens me, because I literally went through so much. Moving to a new state, freaking Buffalo, all the snow, I did it, and I did it well, and it was hard, and it was long and hard and cold, but I did it. You know, the point is that don't think going into OT school that it's not going to be hard. It's going to be hard, it's going to be challenging, but take on that challenge and take on all that hardship and let that be your motivation. You know, you can see the end of the tunnel and you can get there. You know, you just have to do this work right now and be so focused and be so determined. But if this is something that you really want to do, you will find a way and you will do it. I promise you. I promise you, you do just fine. So thank you so much for watching my channel. If you guys like this type of videos, let me know down below. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and I will see you next time.